Okay, I'm showing a minute before the event, and looks like we might be broadcasting, so I'm going to check that right now. And indeed, we are broadcasting live. So here we at the top of the hour, and I'd like to say good morning to everybody for joining us on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. And just to give it 5 seconds worth of our airtime today, yes, the glow on my face will be gone momentarily. The sun's moving and I'm not, so the shade that I have above me will cover my face, and you won't be irritated by this glow over here. So my name is Roland from R&D Hotline, and the sponsor and the host of Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. We've been doing this for a year and 4 months now. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and I love doing it. And one of the things that we've been doing is featuring occasional businesses or people who are successful in social media and internet marketing today, in today's terms. And so we are featuring today a very special guest who we will introduce you to you shortly. But first of all, I want to welcome everybody who is joining us from wherever they are, and whether it's morning or evening or in the middle of the night, thank you for joining us here. And we got a couple more people added on now that we're at the top of the hour. So hopefully some people are watching the show and will get a lot of fun out of watching what John Chvatal has done. But before we get around to John, I'd like to introduce Molly Youngblood Geiger, one of my co-hosts for the show. Molly, why don't you say hi?
Hi everyone, my name is Molly Youngblood Geiger. I am located in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right For You, and I'm excited to talk about John's journey on Google Plus and social media.
Cool. And you know, it's funny when I hear this. I'm really excited today, but blah blah blah. Well, every host, every guest that you have on the show is like the best guest of the year, you know. But we've been planning this for a while, so I'm actually going to turn the microphone over to Karen momentarily after she introduces herself, and she's going to follow up and introduce John because she knows him best and has been working with him for the better part of a year now on his journey to become an aviation fanatic online that's most recognized worldwide. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're presenting Karen, our co-host, and Karen, say hi and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen V Chin, and I am out here in San Francisco, and I am a social media engager and marketing consultant out here. And today I'm really excited to talk with John because John and I have been going, I guess, we met each other. We were talking about this in the green room through Google Plus, just kind of through events threads, and I think some of it started, I think, way back in the fall of 2014 with a lot of different social media hangout shows that are no longer around. I think that's what John and I were talking about the other day. Like, no one's around except, I think, Roland's show now. It seems like everyone's kind of gone somewhere else. And we're still here. And so I'm really excited today to talk with and showcase, I really think, what John is doing is building, as we talk every week about how to build an online reputation, how to use the tools that are given to us that are free, and how to kind of grow your presence, your business, and really stand out from the crowd. And John is someone who's really taken that from basically nothing to where he is now actually surpassing, I think he was telling me, the Smithsonian Aviation, their collection, their traffic, because of what he's been doing just by just himself. He's kind of a one-man shop, and that I think what we can all learn from is what he does. A lot of it is dedication, a lot of it is persistence, but there's a method to the madness, and we want to really talk about that today. The thing I also wanted to point out before we have John come on is he unfortunately, where he's located in Minnesota, he doesn't have a lot of bandwidth. And so that's why we're only going to see his avatar today. So he's not on any witness protection program. He just does not have enough bandwidth to actually show his face. If he does, sometimes it kind of sputters and then we will lose connection. So that's why we're going to only just see him through his avatar. But John does exist, and he is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I know he's really waiting to start that conversation today. So John, I think that's the build-up now to kind of introduce you, to say who you are, what you are, and to start talking about your building of your reputation online and why you even started this. So you want to start?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm an aviation historian, aviation marketer, photographer. Just love social media.
And we were talking in the green room, John. It's like, how did you start, from this? And you were telling us the story. Maybe that's where you should start.
Okay. Back in 2013, late 2013, I started formulating an idea for what became Gazing Skyward TV. And at first I was thinking of doing aviation videos on YouTube, and I started in early 2014 half-heartedly publishing some content on social media, and it picked up around March or April of 2014. And then I realized that I didn't have camera equipment, I didn't have anything like that, so I was going to focus on social media, and started out thinking that Facebook is going to be the place, and I knew I liked Google Plus when I first saw it in 2012, and so I started a social media page there too for Gazing Skyward TV, and the few people that followed me in the beginning, I just love the format of Google Plus. You can get. I was getting into some very interesting conversations with people I didn't know, and that's how it kind of started.
Wow. So you're just kind of like dip your toes in the pond, and you just kind of like started slowly and work your way through Facebook and somehow got yourself over to Google.
Yep. I actually started on Twitter, Google Plus, and Facebook. I still keep up my Twitter and Facebook pages and profiles. I'm not as enthusiastic about Facebook because of Facebook reach. Like, for example, 3 months ago, I was doing about double the amount of reach that I am now, but my page has grown on Facebook.
Is it because the dreaded you need to purchase ads?
Yeah, I think so.
Because of organic reach now, it doesn't really exist unless you actually have to pay for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So before I continue on, I think Roland had a question or a statement.
No, not specifically. I just had some feelings about Facebook, as I always do. But this is really a prime example of someone who is not a set budget or anything, or a set an outlined goal, but is really enthusiastic about a subject, and he started reaching out where he could, and you found out by nature what the limitations of Facebook are versus Google Plus, and you found a home at Google Plus that allowed you to expand. So to say that Google Plus is dead, there's a lot of aspects of Google Plus that are dead. But the reality of this is that there are some the functionalities and facilities that no other social media has to offer. And that's virtually why we are here doing this in Google Plus and Hangouts. So I just wanted to emphasize that.
Okay, so I think we were talking about also too, John, is your transition from getting on Google Plus and posting on a regular basis, and I guess would you like to kind of share how you do that, and then how you transition in terms of building your communities within Google Plus? Because I think that is fascinating. I know that's how we met through one of my communities, and we kind of grew our communities, but you've taken it to a whole nother level because of your dedication.
Okay. Do you want me to start pre-collections, or do you want me to start into collections? Because that's where it kind of starts getting interesting.
I think we should start with communities first, because collections didn't start until last spring.
Okay.
So you can kind of talk about how you built those communities and then the power of collections.
Okay. I really have, I started a total of 5 communities on Google Plus, and actually there's 6. But 4 out of 6 I have not been keeping up with. They're still semi-active. But the main one, Gazing Skyward Aviation community, once in a while I'll tease, hey, come on over and follow from the page. People will search for aviation communities, they'll join. And be responsive, comment to people, make it a community.
And so I guess to start with, so you can give some size and comparison for the audience. How large was you originally with your page in terms of your following, and then when you started with communities, how did that grow?
I'm trying to remember back. The community is right around 850 right now.
Okay.
And it actually grew probably faster than my page, not by a whole lot. The first 6 months or so.
But I guess also talk about how you build in terms of what you thought was, I think for a lot of small business and just people in general, you think that your community is only limited to your area or within your country, but your communities, what you were surprised is that there's such passion for it that your communities have grown, and that when people do converse, they're also sometimes speaking in their writing in their native language. So they thank goodness for Google Translate, which you're completely surprised by.
Yeah, and I have quite a few people on the Gazing Skyward Aviation community, and on my page too, that are Russian or foreign speaking. In fact, the moderator that manages most of Gazing Skyward Aviation community is Russian, and so he speaks Russian, and that really helps with the any other Russians that post stuff, so they can kind of communicate amongst themselves. And overall, there's a difference of opinion on which military aircraft is best between the United States and Russian, but it can get heated, but it's respectful. So.
Have you on a side note, I know from my communities, have there been some times where you had to you get spammers, or do you get people that sometimes necessarily follow the rules of nice community etiquette, and you would have to kind of put the kibosh on, or maybe block certain folks? Have you ever experienced any of that?
Actually, my community moderator for Gazing Skyward Aviation community, he's been working it since probably 200 or 300 followers or members, and up until that point, I really didn't have a big issue with spam. You might pop in, and every couple of days there's something to delete, and most of what was making through maybe was miscategorized, or there wasn't any real big issue that I ever experienced at 200 to 300. And I have, at this point, I'm focusing almost entirely on my page because of the amount of notifications I get each day. I do pop into the community and if I see a post or something that interests me, if I can add my 2 cents in, I will. But as far as following up and keeping on top of possible spam, that's the community moderator side of things for the most part.
So do you find, for giving tips and tricks for our audience, do you find that from your communities when you started, were you getting kind of cross-pollination from them joining your other communities / also joining your own personal or following you on your own personal profile page?
It definitely helped when they were if they were already following my page, because they would look for stuff like that. I used to tease it a whole lot more than I do now. I would rather it grow more organically than to tease it and have 1,000 new people come on over and follow and screw around with the balance of it. That's just my feeling, about it all. So.
And so, do you find that with your building of your audience with your communities, do you find that sometimes they are starting to add you in terms of making sure that you're pinged onto their conversations on their own pages, kind of growing that kind of global community of aviation historian buffs?
I mean, occasionally someone will plus mention me with something that they want to share with me privately. But I haven't really. There's not a whole lot of other aviation pages out there that are active and really pushing to grow. They certainly have not approached me. I do support individual. I have a photography collection that I share other top photographers' photos. So I'm active in the photography community, so I'm well connected there. But I respond to pretty much every plus mention, and even if there's a comment on one of my posts that I did, I'll jump in the conversation if I see a way that I can do it. I try and be proactive.
Okay, so before we start moving to the next part of the conversation, I think, Roland, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge that we had a lot of people check in, and we have 20 people or so that actually RSVP'd for the event, but we have Deborah Burton, Carlos Savio, Wee Wake, Rao is out there, and Gary Whalen are all present and accounted for in the live broadcast today, and we have several more people, I believe, watching. So half a dozen live viewers and a bunch of people who are going to watch this. So we'll get to influence the thinking on many people here. One of the things that I wanted to ask specifically of John, you went from, I mean, we're basically spanning a total of almost 2 years since you got the itch to actually do this. And during that, amping up, ramping up, and changing, there must have been you basically went from 1,000 followers in your earlier months to 90,000 followers. Now, that's a remarkable number. And is there any specific strategy or set of strategies that you think really helped propel you and boost the shares and boost the conversation of what you're doing in social media?
I believe that every single. Let me back up here. Find great content, number one, and present it in a unique way, and realize that every single post that you do is a conversation starter. Don't be rude and not follow up and join in on the conversation that ensues below that post, and stay on top of that. I thank people for sharing my aviation history posts. I can't do it on every single post now because they get out of hand, but I make sure I continue to do that because that's what I'm known for. So just follow up after you post some great content.
Because I think, I mean, that's going to lead to our next part of the conversation is the introduction of Google Plus collections. I think that's where, I know for me, in terms of my audience, for a particular, or like two in particular that I've created for collections, and we can talk about. We've talked about almost, was it 6 or 7 months ago, Roland, I think, where we actually kind of did a demonstration of what collections are. I think maybe it's almost 8 months now. And we're not going to necessarily go into that fine point of setting up a collection, but we're just going to kind of talk about the outcomes and what we've done to actually build those. I know for me, for my collections, and that's where John and I have our kind of, I don't want to say, maybe we get together like at least once a month and kind of chat about how to grow our collections. I know for me, my two most popular collections, one is for me Adventures of a Google Local Guide, and it's based on me in San Francisco Bay Area, and I've grown it from basically my own personal following of like less than 1,500 people to now I've got like over 32,000 people following that one collection. And I've got people from all over the world following it and having their comments, and like I said, it's thank goodness for Google Translate, so I can find out what actually are people saying to me in other languages. But I would think for you, you're having the same thing, is that when our collections were featured by and handpicked by the Google Plus collection team, we just saw the spike because it's being featured. So how would you say now how it's grown for you, where your online reputation has just like, I think we figured out like 1,200% growth in the last year. What are you doing? I know we just talked about having great content. I know I do that all the time, sharing, finding great stuff, giving out shout outs. I mean, what are your findings that you're doing to build on your collections?
It's just continuing to create great content, something that is unique, that can be featurable, that nobody else is doing on Google Plus. Google Plus is looking for great content to feature.
And are you finding that when you have this great content, and now you've got, I think we were kind of talking through it, as you were saying, like your top 3 were giving you about 90,000 followers?
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, and so a lot of it also too, I believe, right, is what are you finding in terms of your collections that are drawing people to them?
I would say, like for example, my first collection, which was featured in June of 2015 originally, that's the This Day in Aviation History collection. And there's a niche community out there that enjoys aviation history or aviation in general, and they get to see a lot of photos of very, very rare airplanes. Constantly, people will say, I didn't know about that airplane. Very cool, interesting. And I try and when I produce a aviation history post, I try and do an immersive experience to include a photo, some text, and video, if at all possible, if I can find something that is related that I can share.
Do you find, I know for me, do you always find that if you add a question to at the end of your post, that sometimes actually helps in terms of starting the conversation, in terms of the comment thread, and then people start commenting and they go back and forth, and how that builds up on?
Well, when I don't do it all the time. It's if I have something personally to add that I am very if it's a event that I'm particularly knowledgeable in, I'll come in with my profile and I already have a pre-made comment that I drop in with my profile. So I try and incorporate my profile into the discussion, and take it over from commenting with my Gazing Skyward TV page.
Okay, so I know Molly has a statement that she wants to bring up, but before she does, I want to kind of get you to think about how, for our audience, how would they create a collection and go about it where it could help them with their, with their online reputation, with their business. I mean, how do you see, from your own personal experience of what you do with your own subject matter, how could that translate to others? Do you have any tips?
To be, a collection that people would be interested in following, there has to be enough interest, of course, in the first place. And then it has to be either educational or inspirational or a combination of both. And so really don't be stingy and not share out, some of your secret sauce. Give out, and people will come back and ask for assistance in helping with their product or brand.
Do you find that if you give if it's too promotional or too self-promotional, do you feel that you think people would get turned off and not necessarily feel that you're being authentic and you're actually wanting to share information, because they could spot someone who's just using collections as kind of a housing of just self-promotion and not necessarily, as you say, what I think collections is about education and sharing that knowledge and helping others by sharing that, as you mentioned, a particular photo that you may have give memories to, or something that you are actually looking for. I mean, what do you think about that?
I'm a little bit adverse to any kind of, from time to time, people or pages or whatever will share my stuff, and whenever someone comments above before sharing, you get the notification of their post, not just a notification. And like, for example, there was some manufacturer of aircraft light bulbs or something, for exterior lighting, and they said, something to the effect, for all your aircraft lighting needs, check out, and they had their website link, above, and that's what they shared to their page. And I went to their page just out of curiosity, and they did that over and over and over and over again. That irritates the heck out of me. If I were to look at that, fine, go ahead and share it. Help me out some, but it's not going to help you out.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the sniff test, right? You feel like it's not genuine, and you feel like someone's they could be using you, for their own gain, and it's not like a mutual, right? And you feel like, and then you're just kind of, it's kind of shady. I've got a couple more in terms of talking about collections, but I know Molly's just dying to talk about online reputation management.
Yeah, so I've been following John for a little bit over a year now, and I'd say that you are doing everything right in terms of marketing yourself online. And we had an episode the other week about online reputation management, and I think your case study of what you've done on Google Plus is a great example for other people and business owners what they can do with the free tools that Google offers us. Collections, posting on Google Plus, posting videos to YouTube, and just overall engaging yourself. One of the things that you mentioned is making sure that if somebody responds to a post or they respond to a video or they like it, is to actually engage with that person and turn around and make something that you post into possibly a conversation. And one of the things I have found just for myself and my journey with my online reputation is not necessarily promoting yourself in terms of, this is what I know or this is what I can do, but more or less just building a reputation that, if somebody in Google Plus or social media, if they need help with a certain thing and they know that, well, this is something Molly does or this is something that John does, then they know in the back of their mind, whenever they need that product or service, they can turn to that person. They feel comfortable enough to know, hey, I've seen John, he's out there, he's been posting to his collections and posting on Google Plus. I know he knows a lot about airplanes, and so it's one of those things that I think in terms of online reputation management for anyone, whether you're just a person or you're a business, it really is about making use of all the free tools that Google gives us and optimizing your reputation online. And in terms of that, I would even go a step above and beyond what Google offers and say, things like reviews are important to consider, managing those, and also making use of business directory listings, especially for those businesses out there that you're really trying to follow best practices and make sure that all of your information across all social media and business directory listings are correct. So I just wanted to say that I think you've done a great job. I've been following you. I know a lot of other people have been following you. And I think this is a great case study of how a business or how a person, they can take what little they may have in the beginning, especially for startups and entrepreneurs, that they may not have a large advertising or marketing budget, and take what they do have, an internet connection, a laptop or a computer, and these tools that Google offers us, and making use of them and figuring out, well, what is it I do? How do I want to appear online? How do I want people to remember me or know me? And then marketing yourself accordingly. So I think you've done a great job, John.
Yeah, I want to build upon that and say when I get a notification of new followers on collections, I'll just look at people's avatar photos and also their name, and if I can pronounce their name and they have a good profile photo, better yet if they're wearing their attire for business, wherever, whether they're a pilot, maybe they're wearing their suit and all that. I will click over to their profile and check it out, because I'm always looking to connect with new people. And what really helps is to have the about page filled out. That's the top thing I go to immediately. I kind of ignore the posts, but I go there. So if you have those three things optimized, I'd be much more likely to follow you if you're in an area that interests me.
I totally agree with what you're saying about optimizing your About section, excuse me, on Google+. It may seem like a huge task at first, like, I've got to fill out, information about me, and I even go above and beyond and include all my social media links on my About page, which I think is a good tip, because although people may find you on Google+, they may be on Twitter, they may be on Facebook or Pinterest or LinkedIn or some of these other social media avenues. And I think just to make sure a person or a business is truly optimized is to make sure and include project links or link to your website, or maybe include your business hours, or maybe some areas of expertise that your particular brand offers, just like you mentioned. So if you have somebody out there looking at your profile and they may not know very much about you, they can go to that About section on your Google+ profile and instantly learn more about who you are and what you do.
And to add on that, if I get a lot of people following me, on my profile and page, and I don't ever hear from them, especially on my profile. I never hear from them in a comment. If they were to leave 2 or 3 comments consistently for about a month, all of a sudden that would capture my attention. If they were just there, doesn't have to be every single post, just 2 or 3 times a week comment, that would capture my attention to check them out.
And those are great strategies for a business owner to use, the ones that you just recommended, because, and I'll share a story, and this is from a while back, but when I first started posting on social media, I just went out there every day and did my thing, and I tend to post about technical things, about websites and SEO and things of that nature. But one week I got sick, and I didn't post at all. And I actually have people following up with me saying, where are you? Where are your posts at? We haven't seen you. And I suddenly realized that there were people out there watching me and following my posts that I didn't even realize. So I think that's something to keep in mind too about your online reputation, that even though people may not actively engage with you in terms of commenting or conversing with you, they are out there watching, and that's part of the journey of marketing your online reputation, is building an audience of people that you may not even know is watching you. And another really good reason why you want to make sure you're optimized on Google Plus and YouTube and across all your social media accounts, because again, it's about building that online reputation and consistency and quality posts that you're posting out on social media.
I would like to add to this. I'm going to emphasize this too, John, because I completely concur with you. If I get circled by somebody and I go, okay, who's this person circling me? I assume that they saw me somewhere in a realm and think that I am a suitable person to circle. In other words, relevant to whatever they do online. And so they circle me, and I go to their profile. Before I circle them back, I go to their profile, and I go to their About page. I see, is anyone else in a similar circle? What are their interests? What kind of people are in their circles? And then when I go to the About page, if there's very little listed there, I think to myself, this person isn't even engaged in their own profile. How are they going to engage with me? And then they have 50 followers and 2,000 reviews or viewings, and I'm not interested in circling that person back. And one of the reasons I don't have as big a circles as some people is I just don't circle everybody. I circle the few people who I think will make a difference. So it's a very good point that you made. Just if you want to build relevant circles, don't circle everybody. I mean, you can't. You really can't, because there are too many fluff people out there that are circling for no good reasons, which makes you less and less relevant if you have all these people in your circles. Something said by Chili Beans, we're welcoming her in the audience. Thank you for showing up, Chili Beans Pootie Butts. I love that name. We confronted her on the name a year and something ago in Karen's community, the 28 Days of Love community, and we could never figure it out. But you know what? I remember her very well. And actually, her name is Dolores. So Dolores, hi. And she says, she makes the point. There she is, a picture of Chili Beans Pootie Butts. Quality versus quantity when it comes to posting, yes. Always, and if you're posting quality, it's going to make a difference on the people. Then if you do the other thing that John stresses, and that is follow up, comment, reply, engage with the people, that's great stuff. But I like the last thing that John said was, it's not all about your profile. Go to other people's profile and comment on their data, their posts, and their content, because if you do, they are going to notice you. If you do this 2 or 3 times a week, very consistently, and show people that you're not just following them digitally and you check the mark and said following, I'm following this person, but you're actually reading their content and consuming their stuff and are engaging and commenting back, and the people are going to appreciate this, and that's what you want them to do on your page. You should be doing it on their page. So I love the things that just came out in the last 10 minutes or so, and I would like to highlight that for sure. So thank you very much for your comments and things. And Karen, I'm going to lead it back to you, because I think we're probably part of the way through his collections, except for one thing. John, on your aviation photography or the day in aviation, is that a Curtiss biplane?
You mean on the cover photo for that?
Yeah, on the very top.
That's the Wright Flyer, the first aircraft.
Oh, that's the Wright Flyer. Yep. It reminds me of the Curtiss biplane, which I showed in about a half a dozen Smarties sessions ago when we were talking about the New York Library and that stuff. And we pulled a picture out of there, and it was the Curtiss biplane, and I featured that as part of our expose. Anyway, I'm just batting the breeze. Back to you, Karen.
So I was going to actually add 2 cents on it. So for me, for profiles, if someone actually takes the time and actually fills it out, to me it also represents that the person is a real person. In sense that you actually, if they took the time to fill it out, then they actually do care about their about that particular social channel that they're working on, and that to me it also represents that you never know. I mean, you could tell by looking at their circles of who circled them. There might be some connections where I think, especially with Google Plus and the social media folks on Google Plus, it seems like we're all somehow intertwined and interconnected by, if you look at the circles. And so I don't know, I mean, in terms of when it comes to in your particular field, John, do you feel that sometimes if you're not circled to a particular person and then they circle you back and then you realize, oh, this person is associated with all these other folks that I'm already circled to, it just kind of builds on the fact that you might want to circle them and thought, I didn't realize this person existed?
Yeah, that definitely makes a influence. But the biggest influence keeps going back to profile photo, name pronounceable. Is it English or is it some other foreign language? And then filling out the about page.
About. And in terms of back to what Chili Beans was asking about quality versus quantity, I know you and I have talked about that, seriously for almost 6 months about how often and how much that are we posting. I know for myself, I'm not posting as often as I used to post because I just don't have the time anymore. I know for you were talking about how you go about and how you've changed, even in terms of what you do now on the weekends. And so, can you want to explain and what your tips are for the audience from your own experiences?
I'll use my great aviation articles collection as an example. I can go out and find 3 or 4 decent articles each day. I'd much rather read one and find the very, very best out there to share, and people then that are following that collection will, I think, have over time come to trust that this quality article, maybe I should pay attention to it, and they keep coming back rather than posting a half dozen articles per day that may be only semi-relevant, a good part of them. So I am a firm believer in quality over quantity.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, I find that if I find some really good stuff that day, and I post it, and I do get response back, and the response is, oh, you've made my day, or this is really great, I need to share it with others, to me, I feel like my job's done. Versus I know there are quite a few people who just blast and just go all day long, and you feel that, did you even take the time to even read the article? Because it's just like you're just share, but you don't really say what is this for. And to me, it's just, to me, it's kind of like verbal vomit. It's just like it's just there, but it's not necessarily of any importance. And sometimes I find that for me, that I will uncircle somebody. Or business, because if you send it too often, at too much frequency, it just clutters up my stream.
And like for the Great Aviation Articles collection, I've really slowed down on publishing much else other than the aviation history posts over the weekend. But on Sunday, I will go out to my RSS reader. I use Feedly, and pick through and find 5 articles for the coming week. And I'll take the time to read it myself and pick the best ones, and I'll queue it up in Friends Plus Me, so I don't even have to worry about it the whole week once that's done on Sunday.
So do you find that it sounds like you have a system where you have stuff queued up, but if you find something hot in that particular day, you will also allot that time, that scheduling for posting something that's fresh for that, a hot news item?
I actually, the posts that I do in the Great Aviation Articles, I'm trying to go more for the evergreen content, stuff that might be relevant 6 months from now or a year from now.
Okay.
And so you won't find very many news articles there per se. But what I will do is use my profile to put all that out on. I have a Aviation News Central community, and I'll share whatever else is out there, any news that I come across that is of interest to me, and I think others will be interested.
So it sounds like what you're doing is that you're dividing your subjects or your topics to a point where you could easily be slotted into, as you mentioned, from your profile. That makes more sense than for great aviation articles, is because that's more, as you said, evergreen. Sounds like that's what you're doing now, versus just like, I mean, instead of like lumping everything together, it's like you've got it in such a way that you've built your different communities slash collections where if it makes sense, that's where you're going to place it.
Yeah, actually, across my whole on my page itself, Gazing Skyward TV, I would say 90 and 95% of the posts I would consider evergreen.
Okay.
They don't have an expiration date.
Okay.
And the Aviation News Central and the Gazing Skyward Aviation community are basically more newsy. That's where I post more news stuff. Or if I come across a video that I don't think quite made the cut for my other Great Aviation Videos collection, I'll go ahead and put that out on the community.
Do you find that, I know for some social media folks that they say is that you should, as an evergreen, you could post it again, maybe a couple months later. Do you find that you do that, where you may post something and then you go, oh, I'm going to repost it?
I shy away from that.
That strategy?
Yeah, because I believe a collection is kind of like a Pinterest board.
Okay.
Of sorts, that you're not going to continually repin the same thing to that same board.
Okay.
So I don't see myself doing that. Now that I've been having the aviation history posts, the collection has rolled over a year now. Because I backdated all the collections, because collections came out in early May of 2015. I added my aviation history post all the way back to early February. So it's been about a month and a half now that I'm over a year. So when I'm able to, I will do an additional piece of content, and then I will copy and paste what I did from the previous year, and I'll put that into a Word document, and then I'll check the links to make sure they're all valid, and then I'll do some searches to see if there's any new videos that might pop up or a different photo that I can put, and then I create that post, and that goes out again, and then I remove that old post from the collection. I don't delete it, I just remove it.
Do you find that with your collections? I mean, I know for what I'm doing now is I find that I'm just using straight collections. So anytime I find a particular article or want to reshare, because I find, for me, I'm a curator where I don't necessarily write for a blog per se, but I actually just find content, and what I find interesting I want to share. Do you find that for you? I know for me, I'm getting folks still who are +1ing or commenting stuff that I did like a year and a half ago. It's amazing that it's very similar to what Pinterest gets, right? Where it's a board, as you mentioned, and you still get traffic and comments from folks out there. So again, as Molly was mentioning about your online reputation, if they find something interesting in your collection, they'll actually go back and look at it from the very beginning, I think, and just continue on.
So Molly had a brief comment about posting that we should add before we begin to wrap things up here. Go ahead, Molly.
Yeah, I just wanted to share real quick, circle management. I just posted onto the event page 2 tools that I use, Circle Count and Circle Scope. They're great tools to help manage your circles. Also, I did a post earlier this week about Google Plus Challenge, where it actually shares some tips what a business owner can do to go and optimize their Google Plus profile. And talking about Google Plus profiles and posts, one thing that was announced last week, it's brand new beta. It's not available to the general public right now. It's only available to presidential candidates and a few beta testers out there. but what Google Plus is doing is the posts that you are posting onto Google Plus are now becoming something known as Knowledge Graph local business cards. What that means is they're taking the actual posts that a business posts on Google Plus and turning them into Knowledge Graph results. Now, this is different than the Knowledge Graph, which is your Knowledge Graph card about your business. These results actually show up right next to the Knowledge Graph. So meaning if you're a business owner or person and you're posting regularly onto Google Plus, those Google Plus posts are now being indexed as Google local business cards. Now, that's not the official name of them. That's just what people in the general public are calling them. But this emphasizes the importance of posting onto Google Plus on a regular, consistent basis and sharing interesting and valuable content because of the fact that Google Plus is now recognizing that people who take the time to post to collections, to post to Google Plus, who are taking their information that they know about whatever it is their business is doing and actually turning these posts into cards, I think that's a pretty definitive move that it's important to be engaging and posting onto collections in Google Plus on a fairly regular and consistent basis. I personally am excited about this. I post on Google Plus every day. So for me, I'm thinking, wow, this could be potentially a big deal for me anyways because I'm out there every day posting. But the same can happen to you too. It just takes the matter of taking the time, like John has done, take a certain topic that he's interested in. Something else I would actually add to that, if you are interested in certain topics, go to Google Alerts. It's free. It's a free tool. You can go type whatever topics you're interested in. If anything happens about that topic, Google Alerts will send you an email about it. So I just wanted to mention those tools, and thanks so much for having me part of the conversation. I've really enjoyed the hangout today.
It's all about great content, engagement, and relevance. And that's what Google wants. So that if we follow the rules and participate in the right places, Google is going to find us relevant. We're going to find ourselves on the notorious page 1. We're going to find engagement that leads to real life contacts. And in John's case, his production in social media led to him having an occupation offered to him in the field of aviation. And I really want to spend a couple minutes on John. Can you tell us what the journey was to actually have an occupation in your field?
Well, in mid 2015, a friend of mine, well, actually I couldn't say a friend yet, but I reached out to a guy that worked for an aviation company, for director of digital. I don't remember his exact job title, but his name is Todd LaHenry, and so we talked back and forth, and he finally said, you know, you should focus on digital marketing, you know, social media, WordPress, you know, SEO, whatever you find yourself interested, inclined to do. You should look into that. Well, I didn't listen until probably November of 2014, you know, somewhere right around that time frame, and then I started getting serious, you know, about that, and joining in a lot more live shows, consuming content, reading blog posts, consuming podcasts. So.
And I think that's how you started with, I mean, I know you're a big avid user of tools to help you streamline your activities, because I mean, I know for a fact in the beginning, right, you were working like for your own building of your own online reputation, because you got to get that content out. You were working what 12-hour days? I mean, for a long time?
Yeah, you would say that. I'd be, you know, whether it was learning or it was managing social media, communicating with people in the industry. Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot else.
And I think, you know, for the tools that you were using specifically on Google Plus, because we'll talk about the other channels next week. You're a big proponent of Circle Scope and Circle Count, right? And I know you really love Circle Count. because you talk about it all the time.
We,
And so
we
you
can
want
we
to
can show that too.
Yeah.
you want to kind of tell the audience about your passion for circle count and why you think it's such a great tool and how you use it.
hmm Well, I use it to keep track of in comparison how other aviation pages are doing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm keeping on track, I got previewed a new feature for photographers that allow you to pull in your top photos, and it's constantly updated based on how much engagement your photos get. You can target it to a specific collection,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him, "Hey, can you make this into a WordPress? Can you make it so that it can be embedded into a WordPress website?" And they said, "Great idea. We'll put that on our list to do." So that got me excited about that, you know. And then I don't know, a week or two ago, they had a dramatic price drop of the premium, and so I will be getting a membership here soon.
Yeah,
With
but
them.
even but also the fact that how you use circle count too is that you also check out your competition, right?
Mhm.
What you
Mhm.
actually do, and that's where I think it's mind blowing when you think about, because you're a one person operation, you comparing yourself with the Smithsonian Aviation, and how you have built your collections, your communities, and the traffic that you get versus what the
Mhm.
Smithsonian gets, and you want to kind of share that with the audience.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until I'd say um, later part of 2015, probably around November
Mm-hmm.
2015. That's when I started matching them in every all three categories: engagement depth, and engagement spread. I believe are the three categories. Um, under circle count, and now it's grown to be about double that of the Smithsonian.
So what is that in terms of numbers, so that people can understand what double means?
It, Smithsonian right now is getting right around 70 to 80 on the engagement metric, which is plus ones, comments, and shares. You add
Mm-hmm.
them all together and average it out over
Mm-hmm.
posts. I'm getting around 140 to 150 on average engagement.
So it just shows that you put out good content, and also the engagement factor, because I think what you're also finding is that with your competition, they're just posting, but they don't necessarily engage with the
Mhm.
audience.
Yeah, and they haven't created a collection either.
Yeah,
And
which I think you're like always like amazed by that, because you keep telling me about that. Like, I can't believe they're not doing this. This is just so easy. The tool is out there. Why are they not doing this? But it benefits you.
Mhm.
What I actually wanted to talk about too for everyone in the audience, they may or may not know about this, but I think it was last week, right? Google Plus has now created a Google Plus Create on their community for the Google Plus collection creators. And John actually sent me the link to because they're looking for applications for folks to submit to join, because I think it's going to be right at this moment a little bit more of a private community. So if you have a Google Plus collection and you're an avid user, this would be a really great opportunity to be on the ground floor to apply, because how I see it, and I think it's John. I mean, we've talked about it, is that it's going to be their version of the YouTube creators community. I mean, so John, tell us why you think this is going to be so great.
I don't have any kind of inside information,
Mm-hmm.
but I just got the sense when I was announced, it just felt like pre-AdSense, on YouTube. I don't know how Molly feels about that, but I just get that sense that they're moving in that direction of supporting creators that are taking their pages and profiles seriously.
Yeah.
I actually, just to interject real quick, I think you're onto something there, John. And what I'm seeing happen, anyways, across Google Plus and really just across the internet in general, is people who are out there marketing themselves, creating an online reputation. they're getting known as thought leaders. They're getting known as authorities on whatever it is that their subject matter is about. And when you can take a tool like the internet and use collections, use Google Plus posts, use YouTube, use social media, use all the tools that we have as marketers, as business owners, and create yourself to be a thought leader, to be an authority about whatever your subject matter is, that is when you have come full circle, no pun intended, and you have created this this profile of yourself that, hey, if somebody has a question about aviation, John would be the person to contact. Or if somebody has a question about social media marketing, Karen's a great resource to go to because she knows about social media marketing. Or if somebody needs a WordPress site, Roland's a great person to contact because that's his specialty. And I think as a business owner, if we're able to use all these tools that we have at our fingertips and use them in such a way where, I mean, the fact that you have more information than the Smithsonian, I mean, that just blows my mind that you as a business owner have taken your online reputation and gone way far and above a trusted authority like the Smithsonian. So, I mean, I think that's a great example right there that the internet tools we have are everything a business owner needs to not only create their online reputation, but to manage it, to optimize it, and become a thought leader and authority in their area of expertise.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I think that's the whole point of this Google Plus Create is the idea is very similar like the YouTube community where you've got these folks who've got their passions like John has his aviation where they're going to you know, have their followers and that you know, with Google, they do a great job with marketing the folks that they find interesting because they're basically showing what you can do with the tools out there. Because it's all free at this moment, and so it just totally makes sense that if you have that opportunity to apply to hopefully get in, this would be a great opportunity because you know some of the benefits of the Google Plus Create will be you can help beta test what they're thinking about collections and provide your feedback of what you think about collections and for them what if they like what they of your you know what you're doing they'll be more than happy with you know the Google marketing machine pushing and marketing your collection to the world because it just shows again hey this is what people are doing out there. So to me, that's just a great thing. So Roland, do you have? I think you wanted to say something.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, this conversation will keep me talking for the next couple of days because John, you've exemplified some of the things that I base this entire show, Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties, about, and that is working with the fundamentals. Do what you can, not what you can't, and you don't have to do everything, but you have to do a few things right. And you reached out and grabbed onto the stuff that you love and you like. You did the research, you know, enough to understand what it was all about, and you continue to improve your outreach, but you consistently jumped on board and did the work. And you've been re-guiding yourself bits and pieces here and there, but you're doing the work. And you're doing the work around the thing that you love, which is aviation. So what a success story. And your story doesn't end there. There's more to your campaign that we've been able to cover today. So we are going to be taking a look at John again next week, maybe, and maybe we can give the people an idea of what we are thinking of adding to what we've just given them as data regarding internet marketing. So what about next week?
So I think for next week we're going to talk. We kind of heavily talked about Google Plus, YouTube, and just kind of lumped that together. And so next week I think we're going to talk about with John is his view and his part of his social media marketing plan of what he's done with Facebook and with Instagram and with Pinterest and with Twitter and Tumblr. Just to name a few, so that people can kind of get a feel for, you know, he's not necessarily all heavy into Google, but he also has spread his social media marketing to the other social networks.
Okay, very good. And John, you have any last words or things that you didn't get to say about what we've been asking you about that you'd like to add to the
I don't have anything more I can add right now. Additionally, but just remember, create consistently good content, or at least find it. Add your 2 cents in there. Follow up in the comments, and approach it passionately.
and those are such essential, vital elements to what we do online. So I take issue with the people who are just like, okay, the internet is here and I'm here. What can I sell to make a buck? And when they approach the internet like that, well, they're going to be in the realms of the 99% of the people who are going to fail at internet marketing because they're not passionate about anything but getting the money in the back end. But when you support a concept that you're passionate about, whether you make a dime or not, then you've got a chance to actually gain a foothold that's going to make you money in the long run. And that's going to be the real relevance and the real value of the people. And you don't have to be ashamed of being paid because you are offering value to the people. So I applaud you with what you've done, John, and I'm so glad that we finally got you on the show to give a good overview of what you've accomplished. And we're going to continue on this next week, so we'll see you then. And I guess we're wrapping up the show for the day. I was very, very excited about what went on, and I'm still excited we're going to carry on next week. So signing off for today from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you, people, for showing up and visiting us in the audience. And from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties, have a good day, everybody. Thank you.